Welcome everybody back to our next episode of Coach Up. And we have been having good episodes these past few months, but now we are going to the next phase, the kind of phase where we talk a little bit more of coaching and even the ideas and the techniques used in coaching to help us move forward. Today we have an amazing topic. It's talking about goal settings. And again, we want to welcome back our panelists for this evening. It's Irene and Derek. Thank you again for coming back and talking to us about this important topic that we talk so much about. So today, we will always, as usual, we will begin the process of talking about what the responses from each one of you out there, viewers out there, when we talk about goal settings. In our Insta story, we asked the question, how important is goal setting? And we got different answers. And the different answers that we received were from different people. And let's give some of the examples. We got from Stephen, and he says goal setting is essential, a place to begin. And it's a wise thing to do. And we have also another person, Adam, that feels the same way, that he feels is so very important. There's so much different other responses, but I think generally just these two people that I'll just shout out, but the rest of it also totally agrees with this, that goal setting for them is important. So then, let's talk about that. Let's talk about the response from this, is that I think most of everyone agrees that goal setting in some way is important, but how do we see goal settings being placed into our day-to-day lives? Yeah. Irene, you want to start first?
Sure. I see it like it's such a human response from the response that we got from the poll, that goal setting is so important, and it's a day-to-day life, like you say, that is true. And the reason that I see behind the importance of goal setting is human beings do thrive on direction, on knowing where we're going. I have a good sense of direction. Yeah, some of us who know me well would know that. I just have to drive to that place once and I would know. And I can give like very clear direction on going. Do you turn left, do you turn right? What do you see? And all those things. So that is such a gift. And in our day-to-day life, having a goal set in mind is so important, that it helps us to have a clear day plan. Like, give you an example, yesterday was quite a big day for me. Yeah, I had a big doctor appointment day where I did like two quite big procedures, which is the blood test and also a CT scan. And from last year's experience, the CT scan wasn't that pleasant. So I was actually preparing to feel scared about it. But thanks to the course that we're going through at this moment, I say I'm going to make that day, yesterday, the best day ever. I'm going to do all that I can. I'm going to plan it. The goal is to be calm, to be collected, to be totally victorious, whatever the outcome is. Because I don't know what's the outcome as of yesterday until I went to see the doctor. And yes, the outcome come back. So it's not that favorable. Yeah, it's not something that I expected, that I can celebrate. However, I was very calm. I took it very well. And that is the fact that I celebrated very well, because that was the goal that I set in mind yesterday. I want to come back victorious, and I did.
That's excellent, Irene. I imagine for these people who were so much for goal setting, it would have been that they have some experiences about this, living their lives, comparing with days when they didn't know why they were living, doing the things that they needed to do that day, versus those times in their lives when they had something very clear that they were working towards. I've found it always that when I'm clear about my week, when I'm clear about my month, that every day I'm contributing my time towards a goal, it is always much more meaningful. You work, however, it's less tiring versus people who are just engaged with work and they call themselves busy and they end up feeling really tired. And worse still, that the tiredness was for nothing.
Yeah, true. I think I believe so that they also have an experience. I think also they have maybe experienced long-term goal setting, short-term goal settings, in different capacity, may work, in their personal life. But I think one thing that even for me, my experience of that, when I was talking to a lot of people kind of give me that response that yeah, I have a goal to out there, it's fuzzy, like for example, I want to just lose weight. A lot of them will say, oh, lose weight. Yeah, and it's like in the distant future. I think one thing that sometimes we do is that we have a goal, but we don't kind of put the details into it. We don't really say by when we want to reach the goal. It's just a general goal that is a plan towards something, but not a destination and a more planned up thing. I think that's something that happened for me, my own personal journey, that I had a goal. I was at the start of it, I was like, I want to do certain things, and by when I'm older, I want to reach this particular goal. And I think that really kind of didn't make me very productive in that sense. And what happened was actually actually the thing that we are talking about is this podcast. I was saying, okay, maybe in the future, I want to do a podcast, maybe to share certain things with people, and maybe that's the way I can also promote myself one way, but also to give back to people, because I wanted to share with people. And until my wife, actually Rachel, was talking to me about it, she said, like, when are you going to do it? I hear you saying that you are planning it, but when are you going to do it? And so it took me a while, like, oh no, I'm not too sure about this, I'm not too sure about that, like there's so many uncertainties because I didn't plan with specific details. I didn't think that and started planning towards it. It was more of like in a distant future situation. And I think until that happened for me, it was just dragging my feet. But when I started applying that principle of, if I want to set a goal, I have to put more details, put more settings into it, like by when I want to do this, by when I want to move forward and everything. And I think that helped me so much. And that's why what we are doing today is because of a little nudge, that Rachel gave me. But also at the same time, the details and plans that have set up creates an opportunity for me to achieve it at a more realistic level. So one of what we can all do is share, like, your own examples, Irene and Derek, how did goal settings kind of, example of goal settings happen in your life for you all?
Before I do that, I'd just like to pick it up from last week when we spoke about accountability. And when you want some accountable partner, you can only have this way of working when you have a plan. And that plan needs to be somewhat clear enough. We talk very often about SMART goals of being specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. I know some speakers, they go against this and say, no, this is no good, we can't do it. I don't think SMART goals is to be applied into every single thing in your life. However, in coaching, it does serve us. And in SMART goals, then because you want it to be specific, and Justin, you were saying, oh, sometime in the future, at some point, I want to do something like this. Usually when we plan like this, it's called excuses of why you are still not doing it. But when you say in January or by the end of this year, I'm going to do how many numbers of videos, I'm going to start posting them, it's much clearer and you can work towards that. In this way, goal setting works. In this way, accountability also works. And at the end of it, it can change. We're actually not saying that it has to be, we say 8 videos recording we're going to do, right? So it must be 8. Well, it could change to 12, or it can be less as well. But that's not the main thing that we're talking about. The whole idea is that because we have a goal, it got us going.
Mhm. Yeah, that's really great point. Derek, you brought up the smart goal setting that really transported me back into my repping days as a pharmaceutical rep. We have to set smart goals at every single call. And I have to do like a minimum of 8 to 12 calls a day back then. So every single customer, there is a smart goal. And time bound is one of the most important factors in sales. We know that because when I set a limit, a target for that, like, okay, in 2 months' time, I want to convert this customer into a loyal customer of mine instead of the competitor, for example. And I work towards that 2 months' time. And those smart goals has brought a lot of us in the sales fields forward. And I have a testament, like so much of successes coming out of that, and that was beautiful. And I see that as being also applicable in one of my goal setting during Jumpstart, my workshop back in 2010, I think, so many years ago. One of the things that I say, I want to quit pharma in 5 years' time. So that was the goal. And I have a big reason for that because I was finding meaning in things that I really love, like coaching, like, encouraging people, get the best out of people. That's something that I really find meaning in. Yes, I love selling, but selling doesn't give me the best meaning. There are other facets of the work that I want to get out from. So with that in mind, I say, okay, in 5 years, I was quite trapped with the attraction of money. I admit that. So that was a factor that took me a little bit of time to work through. And miraculously, I would say not miraculously, it's actually intentionally, I actually quit pharma in 3 years from that time. So that was really amazing. Setting goal in 5 years, but I got it in 3 years. When I look back, I was like, wow, that's the power of it, something that we want to do. And the intention behind that was also, it's really amazing. I stepped into a world of adventure, a courageous world like nothing before. Yeah, the adventures was just awesome, and I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Yeah, I think that's super amazing. I think that's what we all need to do in certain steps in our lives. Sometimes we focus on our goal setting. We have a goal, we set a long-term, short-term goals. But after a while, like circumstances changes it, and then we have to reset our goals. But I think one thing that also I hear a lot from the viewers out there that spoke to me, and I think there's something that I want to share and ask both of you about. Sometimes along the way, the people have set goals and then forgot about it, or even are fearful to set goals because what if I fail? The question like, if I set a goal and then I do not achieve it, what happens to me? Then what happens to my like my dignity? What happens to my personal self? Like, oh, maybe I am a failure. And so people are so fearful of that. That's one thing. So what can we suggest to the viewers, or even how can we motivate the viewers in certain ways that they can start setting goals, or even for those who have set goals and they've forgotten about it or put it back in their mind, restart that goal setting for themselves. So maybe we can share that as coaches and give some tips to the viewers. Yeah, Derek, you want to start us?
There's so many things you can say about that. Well, one of the first thing I would invite anyone who has this issue to look at is their internal compass. When we say, I don't want to be disappointed, literally your internal compass is saying, my life is going to be disappointed. And therefore, I don't plan, then there is no disappointment. It's a very, very sad way to live life. And most probably, the internal compass is also telling ourselves that we are amount to nothing great. So don't do that. Just live a normal, mediocre life. You won't get hurt. Well, it's a myth in itself because you will get hurt, especially when you turning 30, turning 40, turning 50. You look at the way people have lived life meaningfully, you will become very upset with them. You'll become very bitter, and a lot of these uncles that I've known who have not gone for their dreams and lived always a very safe life. They are very upset with young people who say, I want to live my dream. You know, say, oh, that's crap. You know, you can't do that. You just need to be responsible and be realistic. Well, the reality is each and every one of us is an incredible blessing to the people around us. Are we seeing that? And if we do see that, then how are we going to live that out? So your internal compass is very powerful. Do I see myself as a person that brings value, that brings life to the people around me? Do I see my potential? Do I see the talents, the passion that comes with that? And when I see this, then most probably another thing that will be ignited is my power of imagination. Imagination is very, very powerful. And a lot of the workshops that I've heard, I've gone to, and I'm running now is to help people to imagine. Imagine what beautiful things you can accomplish, that you will do, that will bless the people around you. That is very, very powerful. So if I link one more thing, would be that imagination has its foundation in love. See, when people are in love, they always imagine how they can bless their loved ones. It's very, very natural. Nobody needs to teach you. You think of all crazy things that nobody else has done before, or you would copy whatever you think was great, and you would go all out for it. Love brings us to this place of imagination. So it's the same with life. When we love life, when we want to give life to the people around us, and we love these people, then imagination will come alive in us. The opposite of love is fear. It's the most fundamental before we talk about hate. In fact, if I were to hate people, it's because I fear them first. So that would be the most opposite when you think about love. That is that you fear. When people fear, they are insecure, they feel that there is so much to protect, there is too much at stake, I'm going to lose it all if I'm not careful. And when people think like this, then obviously they're not going to, well, they'll still imagine, but they will imagine terrible things going to happen to them. They're imagining that it's going to work out worse than they think. They're always thinking, I need to just prepare for the worst. Yes, that's part of life. You want to be ready that things might not work out exactly like how you plan, but it does not always mean that you are preparing for the worst. When we are always thinking about the worst, then our imagination for something great will subside. And we still have a goal. Our goal is to be mediocre and don't get hurt. Then coaching doesn't happen there, because nobody needs to be coached to be a mediocre.
So true, Derek. I like the way you put it. The opposite of love is fear, and I've seen this happening. We are most likely, as human beings, talking about regret. We will most likely regret the thing that we did not do than the things that we have taken the courage to do. Yeah, so that is very powerful to live life from the perspective of love than the perspective of fear. Fear will always be there. I mean, like we know that fear will always be there. It's part of our survival anyway. But then, do you allow fear to propel you, or do you allow fear to cripple you? That is a choice that we make. Yeah, and when we allow,
right.
Yeah, when we're not allowing fear to have the final say, then love has the bigger say. And from that perspective, yeah.
I was just going to say that's right, Irene, because it's always the tension that we're living in. The beauty is that as we're growing towards being the human person that I have been created to be, if I'm growing in that, then I will lean more and more towards love and move away from fear. I've heard from some psychologists, they say that fear is a thought. It's taught children do not live with fear. In fact, we give them a little bit of common sense to work around that. Hopefully, it's not only by scaring them, by helping them to reason that they will do the right thing, but fear is taught to us, and sometimes in a very unreasonable way, and we fear everything. So in our adulthood, then we're learning to lean more and more towards living life again, being inspired by life, and to come away from fear.
Yeah. So the invitation is for those of us who are struggling a little bit more for that. It's to invite you to work through those fears. You know, there is an acronym for fear, is that false evidence appearing real. So it looks so real in front of you, you know, it's so big. So it is important to name it and to give it a proper place. It might be this small. Love should get a bigger space in us. And from that love perspective, then setting goals makes even better sense. Yeah. So because we know the meaning of that goal and we'll work towards it. And then you dare to plan towards it too. And Justin mentioned about what if something was put on hold? Yeah, I have a current experience with that. I remember coming home from New Zealand, and I say, okay, we're going to build Jumpstart to an international level. I have big dreams for it. Yeah, in 5 years' time, this is what I want to achieve. Right? I have really great plans for that. Like, okay, we're going to do it. And Derek is supporting me, Justin, Bev, everybody is supporting. And then I got pregnant and I gave birth, and then I got sick. So everything was on hold after I got sick. It's not like I chose that, right? Because like sickness came and it's something that really things just is necessary to stop. Yeah, for my well-being, that I have to focus on myself, the body, and this stuff. And now that I am getting better and I'm believing that a remission is coming, I am more daring to dream again. So like Justin has mentioned, so maybe we replan, yeah, we write something new, like we see things clearer. Yeah, it is true. I'm seeing things clearer now. I'm taking things at my pace, and I'm daring to plan again. Let's move towards that goal again. Okay, 5 years may not be realistic at this moment. So, okay, let's extend it. It doesn't matter. As long as I have a goal and I want to work towards it. So that's the beauty of it. I am seeing growth happening and within myself and within, that's also affecting people around me. Yeah, that's a blessing that I'm giving.
Yeah,
Thanks,
amazing.
Irene.
Thank you, Irene.
I suppose in the context that we're talking about when we say goal setting, we are talking about setting goals that are incredible, that are exciting. We're looking ahead in this beautiful, beautiful imagination that we have. Because talking about it, actually, there's also other goal setting. I can set goals to hurt people. I can set goals to hide, and nobody will find out anything about me. Well, that's not the kind of goal setting we are referring to. And in coaching, the goal setting is always towards something amazing. And that goal setting can only happen when we have enough imagination. And that imagination comes from a place of love, comes from a place of life, when we want to give something beautiful to the people around us. I am very much with Irene. We have great plans. We always have great plans when we talk. However, a lot of these great plans, some came to fruition, right? We printed really beautiful workbooks and we reached people, but certain ideas of bringing it to the next level of international scene with some of our projects, that was a little bit on hold. But you know, it doesn't stop us there. We hit a certain wall, and like what Irene was saying, circumstantial meant that you want to take care of yourself now. Give time for that. When the heart is right, you will always dream again when the time is right. And then we start again, you know, we start saying, okay, what else can we do now? We modify that dream a little bit and we say, okay, instead of reaching there in this way, we can do it differently. I mean, we never thought we would run things online as well. COVID came 2 years ago. Now we modify the way we reach out to people. Hey, we're reaching out to people in incredible ways through Skype, through Zoom, through the internet, and it's still working. It's just different. And the dream is continuing to be beautiful, to be amazing.
Yeah, amazing. I think that's something that we all have to do, especially when the circumstances like COVID, like what Derek said, COVID, it changes all the plans up. And I think that's where it's important for us to take the next step to find solutions rather than focusing on the problems that we are facing and say, okay, no, I give up. I think the area, especially in the area of people who have set goals, then things have, kind of died down. It's because maybe in the area of looking at the goals and looking at the things, we have set too high expectation of goals, and then with the fear of failing, and then when we fail, and then we condemn ourselves. Sometimes it's the issue that we go like, oh, I didn't reach my goals, I'm not good enough, I should not even think about doing this some more, and then a lot of negativity sometimes happens. So I think one of the areas that I think helped me a lot, I can share it to each one of you viewers out there that, I think when we set our goals, to be more realistic in our goals, number one, and then we can expand. Okay, I think I can do more. Then we expand our goals. But one more also is that to make sure that it's attainable in the time limit and the circumstances or resources around us. And I think that's how it helps a lot of us to be more practical in our goal settings. Like, we have great dreams, like I want to do great things, and suddenly, I plan to raise $1 million in 2 weeks. It's like unless I'm friends with Bill Gates, then I can just talk to him about it. But something more realistic, and so then we kind of like say, wow, I'm doing well, I'm doing supportively well. And I think taking out our goals back sometimes help us to redefine where we want to go again. I say, okay, maybe this was a good idea. And I think what happens is that when we start something new, then maybe I realize we can refine that goal towards something more specific, towards something more niche to what we want. At the start, it may be just a wide goal. So I think that's where I want to encourage all of the viewers out there to do the same. Is that, to start off that goals and also to revisit certain goals and see what can we do and how can we go from there. Before we end, any last words from you, Derek or Irene, that you want to share to the viewers?
Well, one philosophy idea I'd like to share with all of us is that when Justin said realistic, it's also a very, it's an area that we always want to visit, because how I see myself today is usually smaller than how, if you're a person of faith, your God is seeing you, and sometimes also your friends, your good friends will always see you greater than how you imagine yourself. And so that's always debatable. And I always encourage people to be open when you say, oh, realistically, this is how much I can do. In the field of coaching, we do this. We say, well, how many people can you reach realistically? And if they say, oh, I think I can reach 5 people, then we say, let's stretch that a little bit. How many people you can still reach that might bring in a little bit of attention, but it's exciting. So is it 7? Is it 8? And that's how you want to set those goals. No, it doesn't matter if you reach 6, but it does mean that you have a place in your heart and in your mind that you're saying, okay, I think I'm bigger than this. I think I can reach more people than this. And that's the way we can also set our goals.
I would encourage each one of us to be generous with ourselves in terms of love, in terms of giving yourself some credit. And be generous with your goals as well. Like you set a goal and be generous. When you're generous with yourself, you can work towards that. It's totally possible, and it's fulfilling. I believe it's really fulfilling to be able to achieve something, something that you have set your mind on.
I totally agree with both of you, and thank you so much for sharing with us, on that topic. And I think that's something that we all want to work on. Even for us, we are also three of us also have our own goals. Goal setting is never there's never a time where we overcome it and don't need to do it. It's all part of our lives, so that we can always strive to always grow forward and move forward in every aspect of our lives. So I want to just thank all of you viewers for watching until this end of this for this podcast. Do share and subscribe to this, and to really just give these videos to the friends, all your friends out there, and to really just bless them with this. And don't forget to follow our social medias. We'll be posting up more questions at this upcoming thing. We are only now at the 5th episode. We have already planned so much more. With David and Irene, both we have agreed upon this, and all of us are going to do so much more on different topics. But also, we want to hear from you. It's not only us trying to do our own thing, but we want to hear from the people who are the viewers out there. How can we, give so much more to you? So don't forget, to just share with us. Even if you have other questions, other hot topics that you want us to talk about in the area of coaching, just private message us, DM us, on Instagram, on Facebook, and we want to hear from you. And maybe I can then share with Irene and Derek. I can talk much more about different other topics, and the hot topics that each one of you are going through right now, especially in this COVID situation, how you feel that you want to thrive, how you feel that you need that support onwards. And last but not least, also, if you want to be coached, you feel that you're at a position where you want to move forward, you want to grow, we are here for you. Reach out to us, we will just connect you. You want to talk to Derek, talk to Irene, talk to me, you can just share with us, okay, can you just connect me to this person, and we will help you to move forward, to grow, and to build up your own self, your own journey of growth. So I want to thank each one of you for staying tuned again to this, and we are so happy that you have just heard all of this, and we hope that this is something that you can take home to reflect on. And before that, we want to say thank you guys, and see you in the next episode.